The wind comes in off the River Mersey, cold and sharp, carrying the smell of salt and smoke through the streets of Liverpool. It moves between rows of soot-darkened houses, rattling loose window panes and whispering through narrow alleys where children play among the remnants of a war that has only just ended. Rubble still lies where buildings once stood. Bricks, broken glass, twisted iron. The city is alive, but it is scarred. This is where Stuart Sutcliffe begins. Inside a modest home, away from the noise of the streets, there is a quieter world. The air smells faintly of paper and paint. A pencil scratches softly across a page. Small, careful movements, lines forming shapes, shapes becoming something more. Stuart is not like the other boys outside. While they shout, run, and chase each other through the ruins, he sits still, watching, thinking, drawing. There is something inward about him, something distant, as though the world inside his mind is louder, more vivid than the one outside his window. His mother sees it. She watches him with a kind of quiet understanding. Where others might see a boy who doesn't quite fit, she sees something else, something delicate, something promising. She encourages him gently but firmly to keep going, to draw, to observe, to create. And so he does. Liverpool in the 1940s and 50s is not an easy place to grow up. The city carries the weight of industry and war. The docks are busy, but the streets are hard. There is toughness here, an edge. You learn quickly how to stand your ground, how to speak loudly, how to belong. But Stuart doesn't try to belong in that way. He drifts along the edges instead, always present but never fully part of the noise. He notices things others ignore, the way light hits a wall, the expression on a stranger's face, the quiet moments between the chaos. It is in these details that he lives. At school, he is not the loudest voice, not the strongest, not the one commanding attention, but there is a seriousness to him, a depth that teachers sometimes struggle to understand. And yet when he draws, when he paints, that is where he speaks most clearly. The world begins to take shape through his hands. You can almost smell it, the oil paints, thick and rich, the slightly metallic scent of graphite, the rough texture of paper beneath his fingers. This is where he feels most at home, not in the streets, not in the noise, but here, in creation. Outside, Liverpool continues its rhythm. Buses rumble past, ship horns echo across the water, laughter spills from pubs late into the night. Music begins to creep into the city, American rock and roll carried across the Atlantic, filtering into radios and dance halls. It's loud, exciting, full of energy. But for now, Stuart remains at a distance from it. He is aware of it, of course. Everyone is. But it doesn't define him. Not yet. His path seems to be leading somewhere else entirely. Somewhere quieter, somewhere more controlled. Art is not just something he enjoys, it is something he needs. There is a sense, even now, that he is searching for something. Not fame, not attention, but meaning. A way to understand the world and his place within it. And perhaps, without realizing it, he is also searching for connection. Because beneath the quiet, beneath the stillness, there is a question that follows him. Where do I belong? The streets of Liverpool do not answer it. The classrooms do not answer it. Even the pages he fills again and again do not quite answer it. Not yet. But everything is building towards something. Toward a meeting. Toward a friendship. Toward a moment that will pull him out of this quiet world and into something louder, faster, and far more unpredictable. For now, though, the wind continues to move through Liverpool. The city breathes. And inside that small room, pencil still in hand, Stuart Sutcliffe keeps drawing, unaware that his life is already beginning to shift, that the quiet path he walks will soon collide with something altogether different, something that will change everything. The corridors echo, footsteps bounce off high ceilings, voices blur into one another, laughter, argument, the scrape of chairs, the flick of lighters. The air is thick with cigarette smoke and the sharp, oily scent of paint. This is the Liverpool College of Art, and here everything feels different. Gone are the rigid classrooms, the quiet expectations. Here there is freedom, or at least the illusion of it. Students drift in and out of studios, sleeves rolled up, hands stained with charcoal and ink. Jazz hums softly from somewhere down the hall. Someone argues loudly about Picasso. Someone else sleeps in the corner, head resting on a pile of sketchbooks. And in the middle of it all, Stuart Sutcliffe. He moves through the space quietly, but with purpose. There is a confidence beginning to form now. Not loud, not obvious, but steady. He belongs here more than he has ever belonged anywhere. In the studio, he works. Paint spreads thick across canvas, bold, deliberate strokes. There is emotion in it, something raw, something searching. This is no longer just a boy drawing in a quiet room. This is an artist trying to say something, even if he doesn't yet have the words for it. People notice. Tutors pause a little longer at his work. Other students glance over, curious. There is something about Stuart, something serious, something real. And then a different kind of energy enters the room, louder, sharper, unpredictable. John Lennon. You hear him before you really see him. A voice cutting through the corridor. Quick, sarcastic, full of bite. Laughter follows him, but it's not gentle laughter. It's loud, challenging, slightly dangerous. John doesn't move quietly. He never has. Where Stuart is introspective, John is explosive. Where Stuart observes, John provokes. He pushes against everything, teachers, rules, expectations, especially expectations. And yet somehow these two find each other. At first it's just proximity, shared space, passing comments, a glance at a painting, a remark, half joking, half serious. But then it deepens. Late afternoons stretch into evenings. Conversations begin, not small talk, but real talk. About art, about life, about escaping Liverpool, about becoming something more. The air changes when they sit together. You can almost hear it. The low hum of their voices, the pause between thoughts, the occasional burst of laughter. Cigarette smoke curls upward as ideas are thrown back and forth. Neither of them fully formed, both searching. But in each other they recognise something, a kind of restlessness, a refusal to accept the ordinary. For John, Stuart is different from the others, less interested in showing off, more interested in meaning. There's depth there, something John both respects and doesn't fully understand. For Stuart, John is magnetic, bold in a way he isn't, fearless. The kind of person who doesn't just question the world, but kicks against it. Together they create a balance, or perhaps a tension. Because John's world is not quiet. Music is already pulling at him. Skiffle bands, guitars, noise, performance. The thrill of standing in front of people and being heard. Stuart stands on the edge of that world, watching, listening, not quite stepping in. And yet the pull is there. One day everything shifts. A painting sells. It's a simple moment on the surface, but underneath it changes everything. The money from that painting could go anywhere. Supplies, more canvases. A step further into the art world he is beginning to carve out. But John is there, and John has ideas, a band, a future, something bigger than art school walls. And so, almost unbelievably, Stuart makes a choice. He buys a bass guitar. It doesn't quite make sense, not logically. He isn't a musician. He hasn't spent years learning scales or practicing chords. His world has been visual, not musical. But this isn't about skill. It's about belonging. It's about stepping into something alongside someone who makes the world feel larger, louder, more alive. And maybe, just maybe, it's about not being left behind. The first time he holds the bass, it feels unfamiliar. The weight of it, the tension of the strings beneath his fingers. There's no instinct there yet, no natural ease. But John doesn't care, because for John, this isn't about technical perfection. It's about the group, it's about energy, it's about building something from nothing. And Stuart, quiet, thoughtful, searching Stuart, is now part of it. The conversations change after that. They're no longer just about art and escape. Now there's music in the mix, gigs, rehearsals, the idea, still fragile, still undefined, that something could actually happen. The city outside continues as it always has. Buses rumble, the river moves, the wind presses against the windows. But inside those art school walls, something has shifted. Two paths have crossed, and neither of them will walk the same way again. The room is too small for the sound it's trying to hold. Amplifiers buzz, a guitar screeches slightly out of tune. There's the dull thud of a drum being tested over and over, like a heartbeat that won't quite settle. Voices overlap, loud, impatient, restless. And then it starts, raw, unpolished, fast. This is not music in the refined sense, not yet. This is energy. This is noise shaped into something just about controllable. This is the Beatles, though the name still feels new, still uncertain, like something being tried on for size. And there, slightly to one side, Stuart Sutcliffe. The bass hangs from his shoulder, heavier than it looks. His fingers find the strings, but not always with confidence. There's hesitation there, a fraction too slow, a note that doesn't quite land. It's noticeable, not to everyone, but to one person in particular. Paul McCartney. Paul watches closely, listens carefully. He hears everything, the rhythm slipping, the inconsistency, the lack of precision. For him, the music matters, the tightness, the discipline, the sense that this could be something real, something good. And Stuart doesn't quite fit that vision. There are looks exchanged, small at first, a raised eyebrow, a quiet comment after rehearsal, suggestions, corrections repeated again and again. Try it like this. No, keep the timing. Listen, just follow me. Stuart tries, he really does, but it doesn't come naturally. Not the way it does for Paul, not the way it seems to for John either, even in his rough, instinctive way. Stuart is thinking too much, feeling his way through something that others seem to know, and yet he remains. Because for John Lennon, Stuart isn't just the bass player. He's something else. A friend. A connection to a world beyond chords and crowds. Someone who understands him in a way the others don't. Someone who doesn't need to compete or prove or perform in quite the same way. So when tensions rise, and they do, John stands firm. Stuart stays. Rehearsals continue. The rooms change, but the feeling doesn't. Cramped spaces, cheap equipment, wires tangled across the floor, the smell of sweat beginning to build as songs are played again and again. Outside, Liverpool pulses. Inside, something is forming. Gigs start to come. Small ones, rough ones, places where the stage is barely a stage at all, where the crowd stands too close, where voices shout over the music, where glasses clink and break, and laughter cuts through everything. You can feel it. The heat, the press of bodies, the sticky floors beneath worn shoes. And on stage, the band begins to take shape. John at the front, sharp and biting, throwing words into the crowd like sparks. Paul, focused, controlled, pushing for something tighter, cleaner. George, quieter, watchful, finding his place between them. And Stuart, standing slightly apart, bass in hand, more still than the others, less animated, less certain, but visually he stands out. There's something about him, the way he holds himself, the clothes, the attitude, not forced, not exaggerated, just natural, effortless in a way that can't be taught. People notice, even if they don't quite understand why. The music is getting louder, faster, more confident. But behind it, the tension grows. Paul pushes for improvement, for discipline, for the band to become something more than just noise in a crowded room. Stuart feels it, that pressure, that unspoken question. Should you even be here? And maybe somewhere deep down, he's asking himself the same thing. Because while the others are chasing something, fame, success, the next gig, the next step, Stuart is still connected to something quieter. Art. It hasn't left him. Even now, after rehearsals, after gigs, after the noise fades and the night settles, there are moments where he drifts back to it, sketching, thinking, remembering who he was before all of this began. The bass is still unfamiliar, the stage still slightly unreal, but the pull of the group is strong. Because this isn't just about music anymore, it's about belonging. The same question that followed him through childhood, through school, through quiet rooms filled with paper and paint. Where do I belong? Here, in the noise, or somewhere else entirely? For now, he stays. The band tightens, improves, evolves. The name starts to mean something. And just on the horizon, something bigger waits, not in Liverpool, but across the water. A city louder, darker, more dangerous. A place that will test all of them, push them further than they have ever been pushed before. Hamburg is coming, and nothing will feel uncertain after that. The lights hit you first. Neon, red, blue, flickering, bleeding into the wet pavement. The streets shine as if they have been painted. Reflections stretch and warp under passing feet. Voices spill out of doorways. Laughter, shouting, music, always music. This is Hamburg, and it doesn't sleep. The air is thick. Cigarettes, beer, sweat, something sharper underneath. The kind of smell that clings to your clothes, your hair, your skin. You don't leave it behind. It comes with you. The Reeperbahn pulses, doors open and close. Sailors, drifters, locals, tourists, everyone moving, everyone looking for something. Women lean in doorways under harsh light. Music crashes out from every club, each one louder than the last, each one demanding attention. And somewhere in the middle of it, the Beatles, they arrive young, unpolished, not quite ready for what this place demands. But Hamburg doesn't care if you're ready. Inside the clubs, there is no space to think, only to play. The stage is small, barely raised. The crowd is right there, close enough to touch, close enough to shout in your face if you get it wrong. And they play, loud, fast, relentless. Hours stretch into something else entirely. Time loses its shape. Songs blur together. The same chords, the same rhythms, again and again and again. Your fingers ache, your throat dries, your mind starts to drift. So you take something, little pills, passed quietly, no questions, no hesitation. They keep you awake, keep you sharp, keep you moving. The nights don't end here, they just roll forward, one into the next, until morning light feels like a mistake. You can feel it. The heat of the stage lights, the sweat running down your back, the sticky floor beneath your feet, the constant noise, the hum that never quite fades. This is where the band changes. They tighten, they harden, they become something else. John Lennon thrives in it. His voice cuts through the chaos, sharper now, more controlled. There's an edge to him, something forged in these long, endless nights. Paul McCartney pushes harder than ever. The standards rise. Mistakes matter more here. Everything has to hold together, no matter how tired, no matter how wired. They are becoming a machine. But Stuart is drifting. He stands on stage, bass in hand, the same as before. But something has shifted. The noise, the repetition, the intensity. It doesn't pull him in the same way. If anything, it pushes him away. Because Hamburg isn't just noise. There are quieter moments too. Step outside the club, just for a second. The air is cooler here. Still heavy, but calmer. The sound dulls slightly behind closed doors. And that's where it happens. A different kind of meeting. Astrid Kirkhair. You notice her immediately, not because she's loud, but because she isn't. In a place built on excess, she is still. Observing. Watching through the lens of a camera. Click. A moment captured. Click. Another. She sees something in them, something raw, something worth preserving. But what she sees in Stuart is different, quieter, more familiar. They speak, softly at first, carefully. Two people slightly removed from the chaos around them. Conversations that don't need to be shouted over music. Conversations that stretch, deepen, settle. With Astrid, the noise fades. The clubs feel further away. And for the first time since arriving in Hamburg, Stuart breathes. Their worlds begin to intertwine. She photographs them, the band. Shapes how they are seen. Black clothing, sharp lines. That now iconic look begins here, in small choices, quiet suggestions. But with Stuart, it's more than that. It's connection. Real connection. While the others are pulled deeper into the nights, the pills, the women, the endless grind of performance, Stuart finds himself stepping back, watching again, just as he always has. The question returns, where do I belong? On stage, under harsh lights, playing until his hands ache? Or here, away from it, in something calmer, something more real? The answer comes slowly, but when it does, it's clear. Stuart Sutcliffe begins to let go of the band, not in a single moment, not with a dramatic exit, but gradually, quietly, the way he does everything. Rehearsals feel different, performances feel distant, the others push forward. He steps aside, because this place, this wild, relentless city, has given him something unexpected. Not fame, not success, but love, and with it, a different life. A quieter one, an artistic one, a life that feels finally like it might be his own. Behind him, the band keeps moving, faster now, stronger, sharper. Ahead of him, something else entirely. And Hamburg, still buzzing, still alive, watches it all happen, unforgiving, unstoppable, unforgettable. The noise is gone, no neon lights, no shouting crowds, no amplifiers humming in the background, just quiet. A room in Hamburg, soft light through the window, the faint sound of the city outside, distant now, muted, as if it belongs to another life. Here, everything feels slower. Stuart Sutcliffe sits, or stands, or moves gently through the space. There is paint again, canvases leaning against walls, the smell of oils in the air, brushes resting in jars, waiting. This is the life he chose, not the stage, not the endless nights. This, with Astrid Kirkhair. There is a calmness between them, conversations that don't need to be loud, silence that doesn't need to be filled, a shared understanding built not on chaos, but on observation, on seeing the world rather than fighting it. And yet, something isn't right. It begins quietly. A headache. At first it's nothing, easy to dismiss, a dull pressure behind the eyes, a tightening at the temples, the kind of thing you shake off, push through, but it comes back, again and again, stronger each time. Sometimes it forces him to stop, to sit down, to close his eyes and wait for it to pass. The light becomes too much, sound sharpens, cuts deeper than it should. And underneath it all, there is a history. Back in Liverpool, before Hamburg, before the clubs, before everything began to change, there was a night, a confrontation, voices raised, tempers flaring, and then violence, blows thrown in the dark, confusion, movement, a moment that passes quickly on the surface but leaves something behind, a head injury, serious enough to matter, serious enough to linger. At the time, it's just another incident, another story, something to move past. but the body remembers. And now, here in Hamburg, it begins to surface. The headaches grow worse, longer, more intense. Astrid sees it. The way he winces slightly, even when he tries to hide it. The way he pauses mid-sentence. The way his energy fades without warning. There's concern now, quiet but real. And then, it happens. Suddenly, without ceremony, a collapse. The world tilts and he's gone from it. Rushed. Confusion. Urgency. The calm of the room shattered in an instant. Doctors. Voices. Movement. But it's already too late. A brain hemorrhage. At just 21 years old. The kind of ending that doesn't feel possible. Not here, not now. Not for someone whose life had only just begun to take shape. The silence that follows is different. Heavier. Permanent. Astrid is left in that quiet space they built together, but now it echoes. Every corner holds something unfinished. Every canvas, a moment that won't continue. And far away, the band hears the news. The Beatles are no longer in Hamburg. They are moving forward now, climbing, changing, on the edge of something enormous. And then, this, shock, disbelief. For John Lennon, it cuts deep. This isn't just a former bandmate. This is Stuart, the friend from art school, the one who understood the quieter parts of him, the one who was there before everything started to accelerate. There is no easy way to process it. So in some ways, he doesn't. The loss lingers instead, beneath the surface, unspoken but present. In the music that comes later, in the mood, in the edge that never quite softens, there are traces of it, of him. Paul McCartney feels it too, though differently. The tensions, the frustrations, they fall away in the face of something final. What remains is the memory of a quiet figure slightly apart, holding a bass he never fully mastered, and yet being part of something that would go on to change the world. Because Stuart Sutcliffe was never just about the notes. He was there at the beginning. He shaped the look, the attitude, the early identity of a band that didn't yet know what it would become. He stood in the space before the explosion, and then he was gone, before the fame, before the screaming crowds, before the world knew their name. The wind still moves through Liverpool. The lights still burn in Hamburg. The music plays on. But somewhere in that story, quiet, almost hidden, there is a different presence. A life that burned briefly. An artist who almost stepped into something else. A friend who never saw what came next. And in the silence after the noise, Stuart Sutcliffe remains.